I said it, Mario 64 is the most overrated video game ever. I recently completed my first playthrough, and all I felt was disappointment. It just isn't good. I expected so much more, and I don't think it's all that unreasonable. People constantly flaunt this game as revolutionary, and sometimes even the best 3D Mario game, and that couldn't be further from what I experienced. I'm going to say this right now, if not Nintendo, someone else would have done it. In the time Mario 64 came out, the 3D game development scene was already thriving. There were plenty of other game companies experimenting with 3D. Someone would have beaten Nintendo to the punch had there been more demand for platformers outside of Mario. Sonic does not count. Matter of fact, Mario 64 wasn't even the first 3D platformer. The first was this Alpha Waves game. While looking very primitive, it's still more revolutionary than Mario 64 since, well, it's the first of its kind. Yet no one talks about it. The best analogy I can make is say that Mario 64 is the worst version of Doom as Doom was to Alpha Wave. Both games refined some things in their genre, but there are newer, dare I say, better installments in both series, and a good chunk of games in the same genre don't really seem to take much from either 64 or the classic Doom nowadays. There's really no reason to go back to either outside simplicity, performance, nostalgia, or community reasons, which I'll touch up about later. So I am just disregarding Mario 64's revolutionariness, and that understandably will make some of you mad. So before you crucify me, let's get into some of my genuine criticisms of the game, shall we? The level selection's overall bad. I'm just gonna say it. Mario 64 really doesn't feel like a 3D platformer at times. A good chunk of the levels feel like small open zone snow globes that you just walk through and randomly find stars. Outside of the first few stars, there aren't many objectives that are all that clear. I know that's somewhat intentional to get the player to explore these zones, but the majority of the time you'll just uncover them by accident. And a lot of the stars, I swear you can't even get without a guide. Take for example, in Tiny Huge Island, in order to get the 5th star, you need to make it to 5 ultra-specific locations, but there's nothing to signify what locations qualify towards the count outside of a number popping up when you do find one. Also, in Womp's Fortress, during the Blast Away the Wall mission, it's pretty clear that you need to shoot yourself out of the canyon into a wall, but there's nothing to hit towards which wall you're supposed to hit. So you just end up mindlessly shooting yourself like an idiot at all visible walls, wasting a lot of time, or just looking up a guide, which is always boring and defeats the purpose of playing the game. And even when the objective is clear, it's almost always too easy, i.e. the red coins in Dire Dire Docks, or simply mindless. A lot of the time, the first star in the level is just get to the top, and there aren't even many obstacles in the game. Using Bob-omb Battlefield as an example kind of sucks because it's the first level in the game, so you'd expect it to be easy anyway, but that's still 1 out of 15 levels, almost 7% of the game. In Bob-omb Battlefield, you can literally get the first couple stars here without jumping. Why? This is supposed to be a platformer game, yet the only form of challenge in this mission is dealing with the crappy camera and finding King Bob-omb. This is stupid. The difficulty in Mario 64 is out of whack. As I just said, on one hand, you've got missions that are trivially easy, and on the other hand, some missions are borderline impossible without wasting too much time or looking up a guide. Neither of which make for a fun or entertaining experience. I am not saying all the levels in the game are bad, however. Heck, even some of the bad ones have neat areas. Take, for example, Shifting Sandland, which has an actual level inside of the pyramid. Same case with Lethal Lava Land, except that the level itself is actual platforming, and it's probably my favorite singular level in the entire game. Off topic, but still. And then there are the Bowser levels. These actually feel like Mario levels. I was blown away when I first played them. They're really fun and actually allow you to appreciate the controls of the game. They do make me wonder, why isn't the rest of the game like this? These levels are infinitely better than the open zone ones I just talked about, and I feel like if the game had these types of levels with just different theming, and of course in more quantity, Mario 64 would have been way better. Basically what I'm trying to say is if Mario 64 was just 3D Mario as it kind of sells itself as, it would be good, but that's not the case. The bottom line of this segment is, the levels just aren't overall good. And if you don't agree with me, ask yourself this. Do you really enjoy Rainbow Ride's sluggish carpet and terrible 100 coin process? Do you really like climbing up Tall Mountain 8 times in a row? Do you really like losing all of your progress falling down TikTok clock with one mistake? If you said yes to these questions, you enjoy paying it to be locked up in a rubber room. I'm stubborn on this. The levels aren't good and you cannot convince me otherwise. This kind of loops back to my point on the game's revolutionariness. It was only really revolutionary in the way Mario, or cartoony 3D characters in general, control, which is granted quite the undertaking. But the biggest thing it evolved is the style of Mario games. It just took Mario's character and genre and slapped it into a bloated game of hide and seek. It is rare that I see any mechanics taken from this game in modern or even older 3D platformers outside of Mario, and I'm very curious to hear what people actually believe is so forward-thinking with this game. I hear Mario 64 being called revolutionary all the time, and I just don't see it. Like, is it the camera? Did it start open world gameplay? I genuinely do not know. Please, someone tell me in the comments. Going back to how Mario controls, honestly, for the first time Nintendo put him in 3D, he doesn't control half bad. As I said, this laid the groundwork for how Mario would move about going forward, so a lot of Mario staples started here. The ground pound, triple jump, long jump, and wall jump all got their start here, all of which controlled pretty well besides the wall jump, which I just can't initiate half the time for some reason. Otherwise, Mario controls just fine here, especially for a first attempt in 3D. What controls absolutely horribly is the camera, and if you're a fan of Mario 64, I'm sure you're tired of hearing complaints about it, and I'm not sorry. It's actually terrible. Why does it spin on this platform in Wom's Fortress? Why? Not only that, but if you aren't constantly adjusting it, it'll get all zoomed in when there's a wall in front of you. I don't get why Nintendo made it this way. I really don't. But the camera isn't even the worst thing about Mario 64. They benched Yoshi! He played such a vital role in the last game, and here he's just a cameo for when you get 120 stars. And what does Yoshi do in this cameo? What was the reason Nintendo decided to include him and make him unrideable? Did he give a final speech? Did he end racism? He himself. He freaking himself. Alright, the real worst thing about Mario 64 is without a doubt how poorly it aged. This game looks terrible. Textures are repeating everywhere you look. All the models look like flail balls, and the whole game on the original hardware looks so pixelated. Also, the audio is compressed to hell and back. Now, this is a game from 1996 on one of the worst consoles to ever curse this planet, but still. Nintendo believed this game was worth approximately $10 with terrible input lag in 2013, and they had the balls to charge $20 in 2020 with the 3D All-Stars collection. This is of course given that Nintendo sold the package with the intention each game cost an equal split, which is highly unlikely, but still. Nintendo believes this game is worth approximately $10 to $20, or $50 a year? And I just don't see it. This is like a $5 game at max that you'd pick up on sale for $2. So why is the game still so damn popular? Many reasons, actually. The biggest one without a doubt being nostalgia. Whether fans want to admit it or not, the game has a fantastic vibe and soundtrack that's impossible to forget. So now that all the millennials are getting with the times and downloading social media, they've amassed a huge following while speedrunning reviewing Mario 64, and like the sheep Gen Z and Gen Alpha are, a lot of us followed suit, and now there's a whole army ready to die defending this game. That's my running theory. Either that or I'm blind and can't see a good video game when there's one right in front of me. In conclusion, Mario 64 is highly overrated because it sucks up a lot of the attention from the newer, and in my opinion, better games, whilst being shielded from criticism by die-hard fans and the excuse it's 27 years old, as if that negates all the genuine critiques. Is Mario 64 a bad game in my eyes? Kinda! I just didn't have a whole lot of fun with it. If it weren't for me planning this video in my head since the release of the 3D All-Stars collection in 2020, I probably wouldn't have beaten this game. It's not so bad, I can't imagine anyone enjoying this game, but I'd be lying if I said I overall enjoyed my time with it. That still leaves one big question, however. If Mario 64 is out of consideration, what is, in my opinion, the best 3D Mario game? And to that, I'd say either Bowser's Fury 3D World or Mario Galaxy 1, but that's a video for another day. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please do remember, this is all just my opinion. I'm not actually saying you're a sadist if you enjoy Mario 64. You can all have your opinions, even if they're wrong. But if you enjoyed this video and that subscribe button is white, you're doing it wrong, click it to make it gray. Have a nice day.